1.2 million views.
What?
And we went from like 2,500 to 10,000 followers in like 2 weeks.
That's insane. You went viral.
Yeah.
We went viral. It was terrifying.
This is the Real Food, Real People podcast.
As more and more people want to get connected to where their food comes from, homesteading, growing your own food, getting reconnected with the land, it's a growing trend. And while homesteaders aren't necessarily viewed as part of the food system because they aren't selling food to other people, they are. And this is a real thing that's more and more significant in feeding people here in Washington State. The homesteaders that we talked to this week went viral doing what they do on Instagram. Jordyn and Kay Clark, a daughter and mother-in-law team at Portage View Farm out on the Lummi Peninsula here in Whatcom County, Washington, where I'm originally from. I didn't even know these folks and got to know them on social media before I met them in person. We had a fun chat, learned a lot about their perspective on food and connecting with the land and what they do at their farm and how in the world they got so many millions of views now on social media. So this is the Real Food, Real People podcast. I'm Dylan Honcoop, and this is all about documenting my journey all over Washington State to get to know the real people behind our food. Our sponsors are Dairy Farmers of Washington. Certainly they're connected with a lot of the real food produced here in Washington State. So many dairy farmers. Our state is known for dairy. Dairy is number 2 after all of our apples and tree fruit that we're also famous for here in Washington. And they share the real stories of the dairy farmers here in Washington State, everything that goes into producing the delicious dairy products that they do here in Washington State. So you can check them out online, wadairy.org, and you can even go on a virtual farm tour there on their website. Again, wadairy, dairy.org. Also, Mana Insurance Group supporting the podcast. They are all entirely focused on protecting your family's financial future. If you think about it, that's what insurance really is. You think about, something going wrong, something breaking, whether it's a car accident or something with your home or something medical, you think about that in terms of making that right. And of course, that's a part of it. But really, ultimately, it's about protecting your finances for your family and for your future. And they're all about having a plan in advance to make sure you're prepared rather than waiting until things go wrong. So you can check them out online, manainsurancegroup.com. So you guys grow food, but you don't sell it.
Right.
Explain. Like you're just...
We're selfish.
feeding your family.
It's only for us.
Yeah.
We do share with those who help us process the food.
So how many people would you say you're feeding between everybody involved?
Well, we've 4 adults, 3 children for sure. And then we also had some other kids that were living here for a while. And we thought they were going to be here. So we did a whole bunch of chickens, the year before. And then they moved.
So we got more chicken.
Yeah.
Lots of chicken.
We got a lot of chicken in the freezer.
I guess with this whole trend of homesteading, the question in my mind, because there's something about that appeals to me very much, like sort of living off the land-ish, or at least like growing as much of my own food as possible. But how much work is that actually to, feed 4 adults, bunch of kids, helpers?
A lot of people think, well, what do they say, Jordyn? How do you do that all day long? It's like, I don't know, an hour a day, maybe.
Really?
Some days is more.
Yeah.
Right.
You know that from like working in the garden. I mean, sometimes you got to go out there and weed or, plant some stuff or whatever. But I mean, it's not 24/7. It's not an 8-hour day job because it's not our livelihood. It's a hobby farm.
Right.
Kind of a thing. Yeah.
So but how much, I guess, also space does it take to grow enough food to feed your family?
Not a lot of space. You can do it on a very small plot.
When we first started doing chickens, we just raised them in the barn.
Yeah.
So you just needed a barn. Now, because we have the space and the tractors, we can run them on the grass. But before that,
you're doing
barn.
Chicken, and what else are you? Because you guys grow a bunch of veggies and different stuff too, right?
Yep.
We're raising 4 pigs right now.
Okay.
And then we've done goats in the past, but aren't currently raising any goats for meat. But we do have the dairy goats.
We have dairy goats, yeah.
Okay. And how much of your like milk do you make?
Yes.
Cheese at home? Like how much of all that are you able to provide?
People say, "Do you make the cheese?" Well, everyone drinks it so fast. Because if you put some chocolate syrup in there, it's better than Edaline.
Oh. You know, I know those Edaline folks pretty well.
I'm sure you do.
I'm gonna have to call Mitch Morlag and see what.
That was Kay, not Jordyn.
No, but I mean, they love it.
Yeah.
So,
well, and because it's a small hobby farm and it's for us, we only bred a couple goats, which means you only get a couple goats for milking, and then some of the goats didn't breed, so we didn't have as much as we wanted as well, and so we can't make cheese if we don't have the milk because we're drinking it too fast.
And I think what the dairy folks have told me before, it takes like 10 pounds of milk to make 1 pound of cheese.
it takes a lot. Yeah, I mean, most recipes that you're like seeing that make some chev or whatever, it's like a gallon of milk, and then you get like this little ball of cheese. Yeah, it's a lot.
I remember when I was talking with Ashton Bean Blossom up in Custer about her goat dairy that she's starting up there. She was talking about the seasonality too of goat milk production. Does that affect you guys? Like, there are some parts of the year where you can't provide milk for yourselves, or how do you deal with that?
We could, but I don't want to be milking out in the rain and in the cold. I mean, my husband keeps saying, "I'm going to build you a little milk barn." I've been waiting for 3 years.
Well, he better be listening to this podcast.
Well, he probably
to
won't.
know that you've gone public with
We'll
it.
see. But you know what I mean? So we just do it seasonally. So we breed now. We're breeding now, and we'll have babies starting March in April probably. And then we can start milking right after that. And I would be milking longer, but I had to go out of town for some stuff. So I just dried the goats up.
How do you do that? Basically, like, stop milking them?
Well, you just don't want to stop cold turkey, but like maybe I would go every other day and not milk them all the way out. And then I would go maybe a couple days. So just not milking them all the way out. And then pretty soon they just can kind of take care of it on their own.
So it's like their bodies taper down their milk production. Got it.
Yep. Back the grain off. Yep.
And then as far as veggies, what do you guys, at least this year, what did you all do?
Well, we only grow what we eat.
Right. But how many different kinds of veggies did you grow?
Kay loves lettuce.
I love to grow lettuce. It's easy to grow.
Yeah.
And so it just goes overboard. But you know, you grow your lettuce and then you kind of taper off a little bit because it doesn't like the hot weather.
Yeah.
It doesn't taste good. So we have that early and then we go on to other things. So we grow carrots and beets and Swiss chard and spinach, beans, green beans.
I see
Cilantro.
Jordyn keeping a mental tally here.
Yeah.
Like, is she getting this all right?
Cilantro, tomatoes, peppers. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a
I'm
lot
just
of
trying to make
different
sure we have
That's a
everything.
lot of different things.
Yeah. Oh, we grew some potatoes.
Oh, yeah, we grew potatoes. Oh, and squash and zucchini
pumpkins,
and pumpkins.
So many things. How much of a plan do you have to have then as you go into, like, this past spring when it was planting time? How did you figure that all out?
Well, the other thing too, I think, is we want to decide what we need to put up, what we have. Because if you can a lot one year and you don't use as much, you don't have to can as much the next year. So this year we didn't do any peaches or pears or applesauce because we have a boatload down there. Like I said, those kids were supposed to be here and then they moved.
Yeah.
So
now
you
we have
do
a
lots
lot
of preserving, freezing some things.
Yeah, we freeze.
I guess meat probably.
Yeah, our meat. We don't really like frozen vegetables.
We like it canned.
Yeah.
Well, and you're spoiled with so many fresh vegetables
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah.
And that's what everybody said. And there's a lot of people who haven't necessarily experienced a ton of fresh veggies.
Game
And get them
changer.
at the store, it's not the same. And you guys can verify that, right?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
You ever go to the store and you're like,
Yes.
this just isn't as good.
Yeah. I just picked some broccoli tonight.
Oh, did we
Really?
say broccoli?
Yeah, broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage.
Oh,
I
yeah,
forgot
see?
that too.
Those are all the things that can go really late season, right? Like, what's the last thing to go? Keep the carrots in the ground the whole winter
Yeah.
kind of thing?
You can, yeah. Carrots and beets. Some people even, I think, overwinter some cabbage, broccoli. I mean, I was doing broccoli till
Like,
November, December last year.
Wow.
yeah, it was pretty late.
Yeah.
Does it get all weird after it freezes?
No, not really.
Nice.
I mean, it kind of came back, which is weird.
Well, really, though, what you guys are describing is how people ate 100 years ago
Right.
or 100 and any time before then.
Yes. And something I learned, if you get your fall crop up to, height,
Mm-hmm.
then you can overwinter it.
Wow.
It'll survive.
So there's your fresh groceries right
Yeah.
out, just sitting outside.
Yeah. You might have to cover it with a little frost cloth or with something like that. But.
And that's not something you could necessarily do like in the Midwest or other climates, right?
Well, I don't know, because I was watching Justin Rhodes, YouTube, and he said he learned it from some guy in Maine. He lives in North Carolina, and he goes, I learned this from some guy in Maine.
It gets cold in Maine.
Yeah, I can't remember the guy's name, but he says, yeah, the snow goes on there and comes off, and there's your nice lettuce.
Maybe the snow insulates it.
Maybe.
How did you guys learn all of this stuff?
How'd we learn it, Jordyn?
Google.
Google?
Mr. Google Pants.
That's a legit answer.
I learned from Kay. She's the brains behind all the homestead. I just learned how to share it. So
Yeah, she's the Instagram brains. But I just learned it from my mom. She was a gardener, and you just stick a seed in the ground, see what happens. It's not that hard, really.
Yeah.
I mean, people just need to not be afraid. I think a lot of people are afraid to do it.
Yeah.
And we're going to be showing some stuff this next year of, I've got some empty, the wine barrels. And we're going to show how much stuff you can plant in one of those. So people who have just a little condo backyard or a little balcony.
yeah, people think they need to have acres and what we have to do what we have, and you don't. So we're going to teach them.
That's awesome.
You can do it.
Is that
And
going
I
to be
should
like
give-
in person or on Instagram, or how are you going to do it?
Oh, on Instagram.
Awesome.
I mean, if they want to come over and see it, they can.
Well, this would be a
Here,
good
put it in the ground.
this would be a good moment then to plug the Instagram handle.
Yes, we are Portage View Farm on Instagram.
Just at Portage View Farm, no spaces, underscores,
Right.
piece of cake.
And YouTube, but we're new to that. So
Well, I'll be looking forward to these ongoing tutorials because I grew up around farming, but each specific different vegetable or whatever animals too, I don't know all the little ins and outs.
And there really is so many ins and outs. And
Yeah.
I should give Kate credit. She watches a lot of seminars and does a lot of online courses and a lot of online classes to keep up to date on everything and following the best of the best to be able to share the knowledge. That's like accurate knowledge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and then just trial and error because everything is specific to this place too, and how the weather is here,
right.
and how the soil is, and
Yeah.
That's
tools
right.
that you have.
Well, and we
Yeah.
fail too. We have,
Yes.
Trial and error.
yeah, we grew some San Marzano tomatoes. How many did we get? 5. But then we learned that we were actually trimming them and we weren't supposed to. So we're like, we did it wrong. Even with all of her tomato knowledge, we still trial and error.
Yeah.
Live and learn.
Live and learn. We'll grow another one next year.
And you grew up right here.
Yes, right here.
Did you too, Jordyn?
No, I'm a military brat.
You're a military brat.
Yep.
Got it.
So I grew up everywhere else and had no idea what homesteading was until
Got it.
7 years ago when I moved here.
Wild. So let's roll back to 7 years ago. Where was the whole family at? What was going on that this whole thing started?
Okay, so my husband Jeff was corporate America. I call him corporate America, and his.
I think everybody kind of knows what that means.
Yeah, so he was telecommunications. Started out with GTE, who now is Verizon. Went to work for Quest, which is now CenturyLink, and kind of did that whole thing, and was like, time to switch it up. And we left there, and we came back here and bought this property from my parents 15 years ago. So we've been here 15 years. And
there being what, Seattle, or where were we
no,
living?
no, we started out in Everett, and we went to Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, came back to Marysville, to Everett, and went to Dallas. And so when we were in Dallas, that's when they were going to merge the Verizon thing. And so it was either Boston, and I always came up here for the summers because I was escaping the heat. So I always came up here because this is paradise up here, and the kids love it. But he says, well, I'm going to stop in Colorado and interview for a job with Quest Communications. I said, okay. Well, they offered him a job on the spot. So he goes, what do you think? You know, and I'm like, Denver or Boston, Denver. I think in Denver it sounds a little bit nicer.
Yeah.
So we were in Denver for 7 years.
Sorry if anybody's listening in Boston. I know it's a beautiful city, but we Pacific Northwesterners just
my dad was disappointed. He's like, "Oh, I really wanted to visit the East Coast." And my dad is so funny. Everywhere we live, he has some kind of a relative wherever we lived. So I'm sure he had some back in Boston. But we came here and we just, started out with, so gardening. My parents were still here when we came back. And my youngest daughter, Holly, got into goats and 4-H and FFA and all that. And that's how we started with chickens, was with the FFA broiler contest. And so they give you free chickens. She goes, Mom, I can get some free chickens. Okay, So we did 25 one year, and we did 50 the next year. The next year we did like 80 something. And the last year I think we tried to get 100, but it was like 75. But yeah. And we just learned to process them. We took them first to a guy that did them, and then he couldn't do it anymore. And so we just learned how to do it ourselves.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And so then they came.
I came in 2014, and I was 6 months pregnant. And it was in the fall, so I didn't go outside. It was raining and cold, and I was pregnant and didn't want to do anything. Then I got pregnant again, and then I got pregnant again. So I've been in and out. I've always helped her, like, if she needed help, but I wasn't, like, involved. And then finally I'm not pregnant, and now I'm outside.
Yeah, she's great help.
So, when did you're just saying it was kind of off and on around, between your pregnancies that you were you're still connected to it the whole time, right?
Yes. Yeah, because they were doing the chickens.
Yeah.
But to me at that point, it was like, oh, we raise these chickens, it's in the freezer. And so, like, that's what it was to me at this point, that point. And having, little tiny kids and being in the back running around is hard with 2 little tiny kids. But now that they're a little bit older, it's easier to get out there.
So at what point did you decide to make it a thing, give it a name, Portage View Farm, and like get on social media and start sharing your story?
So Kay wanted to do YouTube, and we were kind of all talked about. I remember we were sitting at the table and we were all talking about it, and then it just died, never happened. Partly because YouTube's hard to figure out, and I don't know, we just never really did it. And then June 2020, and we were literally getting ready for chicken processing, and I was sharing it on my personal Instagram. And I was like, we should just start a page. Like, let's just do it. And I think I started it that night. And then we just started posting to it because some people didn't want to see the chicken processing.
Right.
And so I'm like, well, we can put it on, a farm page, and then those who want to see it know what they're getting into when they head over there. And then it blew up.
That was right at the time, too, when we were experiencing food shortages.
Yeah.
There empty shelves in grocery stores for the first time in any of our lifetimes that we can remember.
Yep.
And people were rethinking the food system, where their food comes from. And suddenly there was this renewed focus. I mean, it had been kind of a trend, but it was like a big jump forward suddenly on focus on local.
Yes.
Do you think that's crazy. Why? Or what were you hearing from people? What were you posting?
Well,
what was going on?
That's totally why.
Yeah.
Everybody was a farmer.
Yeah.
I'm a farmer now, or I'm a homesteader, right?
Yeah.
But I was really worried because I'd buy a lot of my vegetable starts from Joe's Gardens. And so I was like really nervous because, things were shut down. I'm like thinking, I hope they're going to open. So I didn't start any seeds or anything like that. And they kind of had this little thing where they did kind of this online stuff. And I, just got my starts as fast as I could. And then they did an online thing and it crashed, but I was able to get my order because I'm like, I'm getting on there. So I did it. And then they just kind of figured out a way for people to kind of come in to their business, and it worked out okay. But I mean, it was like crazy. I mean, you have to even think about, plants. Here we are worried about getting some toilet paper and paper towels, and we can't even get some vegetable starts.
Right.
So that was crazy to me. And then in the fall or later in the winter, when I went to order seeds online, Johnny's is a big one.
Yeah.
And they were letting like legit farmers get their seeds first before like hobby farms or home gardeners could even order seeds. And so that kind of worried me a little bit. So I was searching all over for seeds, even though the farm stores had them and things like that. But so you worry about stuff like that.
When you guys went on social media, had you already called the farm Portage View Farm, or like where did that
the
brand come from?
Yeah, so with goats, so we're a member of American Dairy Goat Association.
Oh, okay.
And you have to pick a herd, like a farm name or something like that. So we picked that as our name.
We have a view of Portage Island.
Yeah.
So Portage View.
Yeah.
And the view out here is incredible.
Yes.
You guys are
really
very
beautiful.
Very fortunate with that, right by the water.
I know, beach
looking
in the
out.
front and farm in the back.
It's
it's like paradise, like she said.
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing. So back to the Instagram thing.
Yeah.
What were you posting at first, and what were you finding that people liked, and what were they saying early on?
Well, Instagram is just a game that you've got to figure out. And everybody likes to talk about themselves. And I quickly learned, I look back at my old posts and I cringe, but I keep them up there to remind me where I've came from. And, you always start out like, I'm showing my chickens. Well, and it kind of just turned into like, let's share a tip. And I like had a tip one day. And then I'm like, what's another tip that we could share? And it just kind of became like, let's share a tip. And then people just clung on to that. And so it just naturally changed into like teaching people how to do it. And then we've gained their trust. So now they listen to us, and we're just showing everybody, different ways to live this lifestyle, and we're just helping them out.
So you said, and then it blew up. What was that moment? Was there one particular post? Was there a day, time, week? How did that happen?
So, the feature reels where you do the videos
on
short
Instagram?
Videos. Yeah, it's like a TikTok, but on Instagram. So we were just talking one day about how all these like people wear overalls and they're all skinny and they're all no offense to being skinny, but that's not the point. Like the trendy, like cutesy overalls. And I'm like, how we wear overalls? Like they're dirty because we're working in them. Like that's what they're for. And so I just had this idea to like, we showed some stock photos of how other girls wear overalls versus how we wear overalls. And then we're on there and we're like dancing, and it went crazy. I think it hit over like 500,000 views, which was
You're kidding me.
For us.
How many followers did you have at that point?
Probably 2,500. Yeah.
Which is already that's already quite a few.
Right.
But to get that many views, that's crazy.
It was shared a lot because it was super relatable to a lot of women. And then we did another one a couple of days later on how we're going to cheer you on to be a homesteader. And we were dancing in our overalls again.
So you guys are basically
1.2 million views.
What?
And we went from like 2,500 to 10,000 followers in like 2 weeks.
That's insane. You went viral.
Yeah.
We went viral. It was terrifying.
Yeah. What does that feel like?
Terrifying.
And like, are you suddenly getting so many comments, so many DM, like direct messages, I would assume?
Yeah, so we put the really viral one, we talked about how we were going to support you and teach you how to do homestead things. And that includes raising animals. And I didn't put on there, we'll teach you how to process animals. But I said, well, you want to add pigs to your farm. Well, most people know what happens when you buy pigs, right? Yeah. So we did get a lot of like, you're a murderer. And
oh, really?
Yeah, and I'm like, I didn't even say anything. Like, so they assumed that they were right, but we grow pigs for meat.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was insane. We were on our phone all the time, just trying to keep up with messages. And
So how many followers do you have now?
we just passed 72,000.
Crazy.
And we did have another viral reel that was 1.8 million.
What were you
views.
doing in that one?
Telling people to pinch their basil plants.
The things that go viral.
I know. We have a couple other ones that are like 900,000 views, and it's like the weirdest ones. I'm like, this is what you guys like? But okay, I'll do it.
Could someone please make Real Food, Real People podcast go viral?
I got you.
Well, considering that no one except maybe Mark Zuckerberg knows what the secret sauce is.
Right.
Like you said, you weren't expecting it.
No,
It just happened.
I just picked a trend. I picked a trending sound, but you don't know how it's going to rank in the algorithm or what it's going to do. Or
Right.
I was just like telling people to pinch their basil, and she had a funny line where she just goes, "Yup."
Yeah.
Yeah.
With like a song or something?
Yeah, what's the song?
So then are you on TikTok too? Or you mostly just do reels on Instagram?
Mostly just Instagram. We do have a TikTok, but it takes so much time to go and upload over on TikTok. And then now Facebook has reels, and then I've got to upload it. I would be on my phone all day trying to just upload videos. And I'm like, I think I just want to put my focus onto Instagram. And
You're beating me to the punch on one of my next questions, which is how do you have time to farm and grow yourself food to eat if you're so busy on social?
I know. So that's what makes us the great team is she's in charge of the garden and she tells me what to do, and I'm in charge of the social media and I tell her what to do, and we just form this beautiful
It's true.
bond and we get it done.
Yep.
And you're basically famous for dancing in overalls.
Yes.
Yes.
I
We
love
are.
that. Do people ask for, more overall dancing videos or?
Yeah. We want more because sometimes we do like lip dubs, so they're not
Yeah.
dancing,
Yeah.
but the dancing ones are their favorite.
Yeah.
Okay, those lip dub things. I haven't done that. How many times you got to practice to really nail it before you do the final
Well,
shoot?
Instagram has a glitch right now where it cuts off the beginning of your sound, so you have to talk while it's not recording because it is recording.
Weird.
So because of that issue, it does take us a couple takes, but
She's usually pretty good. It's usually
Well, we
me.
don't-
Oh, you're just a hair off.
yeah, we're pretty good though. It only takes a couple times to nail it.
Yeah.
Okay, now it's time for the truth. Does mom get a little frustrated with the social sometimes? Like, come on, we got work to do.
Sometimes. Sometimes I'm like, okay, I've got this to do today. Well, don't do anything yet because I got to film it. And I'm just like, oh.
Yeah.
That's the only thing is that I like to get going, and she likes to, put the youngest down for a nap, and then not have to worry about him doing his thing, right?
Yeah.
Well-
But if you want to use your social media to make money, you got to film it.
Yeah.
So you got to
Yeah.
put it out there. So I make her wait.
Yeah.
So do you make money at doing the social media thing?
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yeah. We just went on a trip to the Homesteader Conference of America, and
So
we just paid
cool.
off the trip by some side work that we've done.
So cool.
Yeah.
Because I was going to ask, so why do you keep doing it? Especially since you're not trying to market a product because you aren't selling it to anything you grow to the public.
Right,
Why do you
right.
keep doing it? It also seems though that you guys have a passion for showing this
Yeah.
stuff and showing people what it's really like.
So we didn't go into it being like, I want to make thousands and thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
If we did, that would be cool.
Yeah.
But it wasn't our focus.
Probably if you would have never gotten there
Right.
Right.
because you were
Right.
so real. It was about your passion for what you were doing.
Right. And that totally shows if you're there for truly helping other people versus just trying to make money. And because we actually serve our audience, the money just kind of naturally comes in. And who would not take advantage of that opportunity?
Oh, definitely.
So we're taking advantage, but we're also still being true and authentic to ourselves and continuing to show all that we're doing and helping still.
Because that's what works
Yeah.
and that's what people want.
Yep.
Yes.
I will stop following your channel if you start being super fake. But that's the real thing.
Yeah.
How much has it changed now how you farm?
I don't think
it's changed.
It just
Other
makes
than
us a tad slower because we have to film it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what's so hard about it too, because lots of times when I'm doing farming stuff and I manage to get out of the office and get on a farm somewhere, whether it's my family or somebody else that I know, it's like, I want to capture all of this, but we don't have time. We're just going.
Yeah.
How do you, show all of these things that might be cool to somebody, but not have to like move at a snail's pace with getting everything done? Oh, stop. We need to
luckily
adjust the angle.
Luckily we have to, I just lost my train of thought.
Well, wouldn't you think it's more like we pick like a day or topic or something, and that's what we're going to focus on for that day? It's not like every day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And we don't show everything. It's like, okay, we're out here planting, and we show how to plant a row, and then we plant the rest of the boxes.
Right.
So it's just a glimpse. And social media makes it seem like we're out working all day long. I'm like, no, 10 minutes for the chores at night. People think I'm with the pigs all day long. Mm-hmm. And they're like, how are you going to butcher those pigs? You're with them all day. And I'm like, you saw my 2-minute Instagram story, right? That's 2 minutes that I was with them. So.
Well, the reality is if you did spend all day with them, that may actually increase the motivation if they're driving you crazy.
Yes. Right?
At least that's how I felt around cows sometimes in my life.
Yeah.
Truth, just total true confessions.
Yep.
Animals may be cute when you first see them, but they can be very, very frustrating because they do their own thing.
Yes, they do.
And they grow up.
Yeah. I know. I saw someone on social media, Instagram, yesterday, and they wanted a baby goat. Can we get baby goats? I'm like, you do know they get bigger. What are you going to do with an adult goat now?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
suddenly they aren't a cute little piglet anymore.
Right.
And I think a lot of people think that with chicks and ducklings, and
ducks. I know some city folk who got ducks in their townhouse and like as a pet, and they're great pets, and no,
gross.
No, yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So what does the future hold? Are you going to keep doing what you're doing? Have you thought about doing more? Have you thought about selling food?
We've actually thought about it. Yeah. We thought about maybe chickens or turkeys.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm just, again, true confessions. I'm a sucker because I follow you. Well, not because I follow you, I'm a sucker. But I would be like, hey, I know those people. I follow them on social media. Mm-hmm. They're funny. I've seen their farm. I would want to buy something from you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But at the same time, that totally changes the game for you too, right?
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
It opens up a whole can of worms.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think right now our focus would not to be to raise food for people, but holding and hosting seminars to teach you how to do the processing part. So you raise them, and we'll teach you how to process so you can become self-sustainable.
Yeah.
Which I would totally do too.
Yeah.
Yeah. We taught somebody, she got chickens and then realized that you can't get them into a butcher last minute. And she reached out to us and said, this is what's happening. Can you help me? So she came out and we helped her process chickens.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
All through social media. So my plan is, I have 2 boys. My plan is to get them old enough. I guess they should probably be like 16 and 18. So it'll be a couple of years to have their own processing truck, and people can hire them, and they'll come out with their little truck and they'll do their little processing because they love.
But you have 3
helping.
children. So one of your children is a daughter.
Yes.
She can't process chickens.
Well, she'd rather probably do flowers.
Yeah.
You never know.
You never know, though. She might.
Yeah. Well, my boys love to help my husband do the actual dispatching.
They do
That's
love
his
it.
job. And they have their little knife, it's dull, and they go up there and they get right in there and do it. And so I'm like, all right, that's your future, is you're going to be the Clark brother chicken processors.
Clark brother chicken.
Yeah. So stay tuned. Hire them out in the future.
How obedient are they?
We'll get there.
Well, then we'll see how your plan works out.
Yeah.
Although
may
they
say,
do
Mom,
love that, so maybe they.
Mom,
will
you
be
have
okay
this
with
big
it.
plan for us, but you know how we kind of do our own thing.
Yeah, that's true. Very true. Well, maybe they'd be into it. I'll let them choose, but that's my goal for them.
Okay. Okay. Well, we're recording this for perpetuity right now, so you can play that back for them.
Exactly.
Several years down the road.
Yep.
Be like, see, I had this plan. It's still the plan. No.
You never know what the market's going to be.
That's right.
That's true.
We're big on kidpreneurs.
Yes.
Learning how to work.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Learning how to work.
And learning the value of things.
Value of money, even. Yep.
When we talked with Brown and Wyden at Widner Farms, she was totally the same thing. Like her young son is growing animals and showing them and doing, and he has his money that he got from that, and he has to track that to buy his feet.
Isn't it so great?
Yeah.
It's
you do that with your kids too?
It's a wonderful thing.
We haven't really gotten into that, but they do, pick up apples for $1 a bucket.
Yep.
And they're learning small.
Yeah.
But it's about the lifestyle.
That's right.
Together as a family, growing food, doing the work.
Yep.
Doing the work. Yep. Everybody helps.
Even the 2-year-old.
Everybody helps.
Child labor.
Hey, they're growing food for them and the rest of their family to eat. It doesn't get any more
I know. Can I tell you a funny
natural
story?
than that. Yes, you may.
Whenever we eat dinner, my 4-year-old, what is this, Mom? Oh, we're having chicken, blah, blah, blah. He looks at me. Is this the chicken that we killed? Yep. And then sometimes we're at Dairy Queen eating chicken strips, Is this the chicken that we killed? Nope.
Nope.
He likes the chicken that we killed.
How has growing food then, this brings up this point, how has it changed how you eat?
Well, we're picky now.
Well, really?
We're very picky.
Now, I'm not going to pass up a chicken strip basket from Dairy Queen. I'm sorry, I'm not doing it. And
True confessions.
Yeah.
And we're not like, oh my gosh, I'm not eating that, but
Yeah, we're not like that. We'll eat anything.
But yeah.
But it probably changes significantly how you view like the produce section of the grocery store.
Oh, yeah.
Even just to know the work that went into the stuff that's there.
It just tastes so different.
Yeah.
Especially tomatoes.
Tomatoes, yeah. Well, and I was eating, I don't know what I was eating, something. I might have been eating some turkey. And I was like, how cool is it that I actually know what happened to this bird's life?
Yeah.
And some people have no idea where it came from, how it got to the grocery store.
Yeah.
It was just kind of fascinating to me. I was like, it's a very humbling experience to be able to do this.
Yeah, it really is.
You had anybody like famous follow you or mention you or anything like that? Send you a message?
Yes.
Are you allowed to say?
Sure.
Okay, let's hear it.
What's her name? Jillian Harris.
Okay.
She's in the Bachelorette franchise, and she has like a show on HGTV up in Canada. And she commented on one of my our reels, excuse me.
Yeah.
Our reels. And she has the verification. So I was like, who? I'm like,
the
who
blue
is this?
check.
So I thought it was Jillian Michaels. I had him confused. I'm like, why would she be on our page? But then I was like, oh, I know who that is. And I was like starstruck. I was like, oh my gosh. Thanks. Trying to be cool. Trying to play it off. I was like freaking out. I was at the lake with my mom. I was like, oh my gosh, guess what just happened? So that was our closest run-in with fame.
Yeah, but how many followers does she have?
She's in the millions.
Okay. Well, you'll get there someday.
Now, if she would just share something,
Yes.
we'll get there too.
Yeah.
There you go.
No, I'm
There
just
you
kidding.
go.
And we have some other big accounts
Yeah,
that
do.
we like, that have commented and
Yeah.
started following us
Yeah.
too. Yeah. We're trying to get some other ones to follow us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Usually when I want someone to follow us, I just start working on them. And eventually they
She's
follow.
giving away the secret.
Well, I get it
Eventually
because
they follow us.
well, I get it because if
Obviously,
you're
I'm
a larger
not cool enough for her to start working on me. You know.
if you're a larger account and you have multiple followers a day, it's impossible.
Yeah.
If you have hundreds
you
of
won't
new
even
followers,
notice.
you can't notice. And so when you have a small account and you get a few followers, you look at the account to know if you're like in a good community that you want to follow them back or whatever. And so now I understand that we had some people from the Homestead conference that were speakers that were following us, but I had no idea because I can't look through everybody's account. So
Or you could be like me, like, I got a new follower this week.
yeah.
Wow, I love that person. Now I'm going to look at all of their photos from their entire feed back to when they joined Instagram or Facebook or Twitter.
Yep. So if you work on them and you talk to them and like, hey, I'm here. We're a good match to be friends, and then sometimes they'll take the time to notice you.
It's interesting to me that you guys have become this social media farm. Even though you're not growing food for anybody else, you're not doing it to market. Because, and we hear this a lot on the podcast, farming and food and social media go together so much. And it makes sense because people want that connection, and you're providing that without them feeling like they're being marketed to. Like you're trying to convince them to buy your carrots because you aren't. So I'm realizing here as we talk, like those are a thing now. Farming and social media, whether old school or new school, whoever, farmers like it or not, it's a real thing now. And you guys have proven that.
Yep.
Thanks for sharing your story.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
And thanks for all the work that you put into doing that, because I know it is a lot of work.
Yep. I went
to
from
show
a
all that.
stay-at-home mom to a 24/7 social media influencer.
Yeah, exactly. And that sounds like a buzzword, but it is a lot more work than people think. And it's always like, oh, I should be doing this. It never goes away.
That's right.
But you're providing something, as the response is shown. It has value to people, not just because it entertains them, but you are sharing more even than just entertaining. You're showing them
edutaining.
Yeah.
Education, entertainment.
And that's important for people to see how food is really grown. So thank you for doing that. And thank you for having me out here to the farm to hear all about it. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Appreciate you coming out here
Yeah.
with this cool setup.
This is the Real Food, Real People podcast. These are the stories of the people who grow your food.